Today we will be talking about inspecting steel and aluminum hulls. Before conducting an inspection of the hull, you want to make sure you're aware of any hazards and have your appropriate PPE. You need to have a hard hat, your gas meter, steel-toed boots. If you are entering into any internal space on the vessel, you want to make sure you follow confined space protocol and be aware that any sort of deteriorating rust can cause oxygen deficiency. For details on inspecting the material condition of the steel, please refer to the previous module. Some areas of the vessels experience greater stresses than others. For example, on larger vessels, the middle part of the vessel will experience more stresses due to the hogging and sagging that can occur when the vessel is underway and loaded with product. Another area on this particular vessel that can experience a lot of stress is the bow area in this curvature. This vessel will constantly be bumping up against things which can cause damage and insets along the bow. We want to make sure that we go on the internal side and look at those and see the extent of the damage there to determine if repairs are needed. We are now on the inside of the hull looking at that same inset that we saw on the outside. When we're inside, we want to look and make sure that that inset did not propagate in any sort of damage onto these internal structures. If it did and it exceeds the allowable damage per the guidelines, we would need to have them repair this. There will be certain areas of barges that are more prone to corrosion and pitting. For example, on the bottom plate of this vessel, you'll see that there is areas of pitting. However, this is still within the guidelines for acceptable standards and therefore will not need to be replaced. However, if the pits were deeper or there was a larger area, then that might call for a repair. Some vessels that experience extreme stresses might use high-strength steel in their construction, such as on a helo deck. As a marine inspector, you would inspect the high-strength steel in the same way you would inspect ordinary steel. In previous modules, we talked about the details of unauthorized repairs and wastage and corrosion limits. We just wanted to make one more point about aluminum hulls. They can be more susceptible to cracking, and therefore they have more frequent inspection intervals. In addition to the common areas that I already had previously discussed, you want to make sure that you look for areas where there might be dissimilar metals because that can cause corrosion. And then also areas like this where water can become entrapped. For example, this piece of metal sits on top of another piece of metal, and when water enters in here, it settles along here and can cause corrosion. To summarize inspecting steel and aluminum hulls, we recalled any hazards, caution, and PPE needed for inspecting steel and aluminum hulls, inspected material condition of the steel and aluminum hull, inspected common stress areas for the applicable platform, inspected critical areas for excess wastage or corrosion, inspected high-strength steel areas, if applicable, verified no unauthorized or temporary repairs, verified wasted corrosion is within limits, and described any common concerns. If you have any further questions, please contact your verifying officer.